Hi crafters, this is Paulette in Missouri, and I got this super cute Sizzix die at my local Michael's Arts and Crafts. They never have new stuff when I'm in there. I live out of town, and there were two of them, so I nabbed one and used my Joann's 40% off coupon. It is so cute, but I had trouble with it for the project I wanted to create, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Dina Designs is the artist, so up front my apologies to Dina, because this just didn't work for what I wanted the purposes of my die to do for me. I wanted to make this shaped greeting card, and you'll think I'm funny, I just kept cutting it and kept cutting it, and those little eye holes just were not going away. Now, the circles on this die are all the same size. There's two here in the face and one on the side, and I just could not figure out how to get these back in here. My first idea was that I would glue a piece of cardstock behind here to hold that in, but then I would have had to do it on the inside as well. And then I would have had a scrap piece of cardstock here that would have been visible. And I didn't like that. So I did the unthinkable and I altered my die. I'm not going to recommend that anybody work on their die, because first of all, it voids your warranty. Second of all, these blades are so sharp and it is dangerous. And thirdly, it was just a horrendous mess. Now, I'm going to imagine when they started making these dies, this wood backing under the foam here was a tougher substance, because I know people have altered their dies before. This is literally what happened when I went in here and tried to raise the edge of what I thought was a board. This is a wood product, but it's like pulped wood that has been pressed back together, and it was a huge mess. It was a 30-minute wrestling match at least, with me trying to dig out all this stuff inside the eyes. My husband wasn't home when I was doing this, so I just did it, and it was really tough. It was really hard to do, and you have to be really careful not to injure the blade around the owl body. So we'll talk a little bit more about how to cut your cardstock and lay it in here. So let's bring that in. I've got my scoreboard here, and this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. I'm going to score this at 5.5 and fold that, pressing toward the score line. Then we're going to cut this, and we're going to lay it inside the cutter. The fold line is here at the top, and we're just going to slip it in this way and cut it right at 5 inches. We're going to use this big piece for our owl, and this is an additional piece. You can make another little set of cards with that. And then we're going to lay this inside the die. The ears are up here at the top and the feet are down here at the bottom. My fold is on the right hand side, and we're going to lay this right inside the cutting line here on the edge. Make sure you get the top of the ears up here, and then it's going to cut these extra pieces, the extra circle, the wings, and the heart. It's not quite going to make a complete cut of the beak or this half circle, but I'm not using those on this project, so I wasn't worried about that. And then I will come back with a separate color and cut the feet. So you're going to run that through your die machine, and then what you have is this sweet little card base. So that is the base for my card. I wanted to be as true to the dish as I could be. So I used a 5/8 inch circle punch for my eyes and glued those on. I used a 1/8 inch handheld circle punch for my pupils in white and glued those on. I wanted a beak that was very similar to this, and the beak in the die I just felt was too big, and I wanted this shape here. Now you could cut the heart in half. Here's the heart in its whole form, and then here's where I hand cut it, but hand cutting just doesn't agree with my hand, and it's a lot of, you know, trying to finish up the edge. So I dug around in my die stash, and I have this little boss cut candy corn, and the whole candy corn image here was perfect for the beak, so that's what I used for the beak. The wings on the die only cut, I don't know why the forethought was to have the 2 feet but only 1 wing. I would have much rather exchanged this circle for another wing going in the right direction. But when the blade comes up through here and cuts into the cardstock, it makes that really nice edge, and that's why we had to put the fold on this side here, so that when we turned it over we had this nice finished edge on the front of our card. So what you can do is just take, you'll have one that has the nice cut edge, and you'll have one you have to use upside down. So you can just take your bone folder and burnish these edges and flatten them back out, and that way it won't look like a raw edge. And then that one will have to go on that side. So you just glue those down. To get my little scallops, I used a 3/4 of an inch piece of scrap cardstock. This is 3 1/4 inches wide, and I turned it this way and cut 3 strips at 3/4 of an inch. To get your first one, we need one that has 8 scallops on it. So to get your first one, just turn this punch upside down. This is Stampin' Up's scallop border punch. And you just need to line your cardstock up where it's between 2 scallops for the first punch, and then you can just flip it over and follow the guide for the rest of it. And then I just come in here and trimmed that extra little bit off with my scissors. And then you can clean up this other edge if you need to. Then on the other 2 strips, it doesn't really matter because we're going to cut them down to 7 scallops and 6 scallops. I started with the smallest one and glued that on my owl body first, positioning it between the feet, and then the 7 scallop on top of that, and then the 8 scallop on top of that, being sure to cover up that blunt edge at the top of each of those. And then I cut the feet in a separate little scrap of Dusty Durango, and they fit perfectly right there on the feet. And you can see how cute this turned out. I've made a set of several that I will also make little envelopes to go with, and I'll talk about that in another video and show you how I did the envelopes. If you have any questions, give me a shout. Thanks for watching.